session of digital discovery, and it's probably one of the most appropriate ways to finish by basically having some of the greatest PR, marketing, and press in the industry basically explain how to get word out there about your game, given that it's such a saturated market. James Batchelor is going to be moderating. He's from Gaming Digital Biz, and I'm going to let the other panelists introduce themselves.
I think it's Sing Star. I'm Caroline Miller, I'm from Indigo Pearl.
Joel Gregory, networking / PC Gamer.
Tracy McGarrigan, Boston Studios.
I'm Stefano Petrulo from Renaissance VR.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to my panel. Talking about press, PR, and influencers as the slide that brought to me. Thought I'd focus on that middle one to begin with, just because I've been to a couple of events recently, and there is some confusion with regard to this. So, could my panelists explain the difference between PR and marketing? Because while they are both about getting your game noticed, they're not quite the same.
Should I? Okay, so what I think is interesting, but the thing is, I see PR as a function of marketing. So we are under the umbrella of marketing, but our way of working is slightly different. We work mostly in what we call earned media. So media which we have a relationship with. They could be media, journalists or influencers. Well, in the marketing umbrella, there is the more like marketing spending that go through own media, which is your website, your channel, and of course in what you can see traditional advertising or social media advertising and investment essentially. So I think PR is a function of marketing, but it's not the marketing, which is the big umbrella. Is it good?
Yeah. No, that's exactly how we work marketing and PR together at Bossa. For me, marketing is very much about how we're going to tell the story of our games, and PR informs who we tell that story to from an influencer point of view. Who influences the influencers, who's going to help us tell our story that's going to spread our net above and beyond where we're going to just pay for a splash or pay for video. And PR, as Stefano says, is the relationship part that maybe we as a marketing team either don't have those relationships or don't as a team have the resources to hit everybody. PR are the people that tell our story on.
I think from a media perspective, what's interesting is how over the time I've been in the press, the direct relationship between media and marketing has increased, and I think whereas earned media is existing a huge part of it, it's becoming more and more common for us to be looking at content as part of people's marketing plans, whereas before it was perhaps not so much a direct driver. Nowadays, promoting content, that kind of stuff is much more of a thing, and I think the looks of things, the way it's going, that's only going to increase as time goes on, which is something I'm sure we'll touch on later.
Yeah, that's
Nice job. Okay, so the stat came out a couple of weeks ago, 7,672 games released on Steam last year alone. That is absurd. How on earth can in these developers, anyone new, like even hope that anyone established, in hope to have their game noticed? How do you cut through that noise?
Well, I'll leave it to the PR and marketing people to talk about how to cut through the noise, but just to kind of back up that stat as part of someone who is receiving the noise, I did a very rough account of my inbox and get somewhere between 200 and 250 press releases every day. So the importance of targeting what you're putting out there and who you're sending it to and getting your email or whatever it is noticed, it's really, really crucial, and it's never been harder because, as I say, with the best will in the world, I can't read 10% of those in any given day. So it's becoming, more and more important to go perhaps narrower and deeper with who you're going rather than this term press blast, which I'm sure we've all heard, and it's not a particularly flattering term, but it's difficult for someone in the media to pay as much attention as perhaps the media would like to that kind of marketing because there's just so much about that.
sorry, no problem from us as well, and I
some percentage, but I wouldn't
those are the ones that we open.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise out there. I guess one of the things I'm going to say is going to be very obvious, and it is if you have a relationship with the person that you're emailing, they're more likely to notice your email and open it, rather than just sort of, you know, loads of sort of people that you don't know, never heard of. So emails, I mean, we do other things at Indigo Pearl, but when we kind of did look quite deep into what makes people might open emails, the number one thing is if they recognise the name or where it's coming from. And that doesn't mean, you know, go and hire a PR agency. It means that if you're trying to cultivate relationships with people, they're more likely to be like, oh yeah, it's that guy, you know, I know him. And then actually James Binns sends me, I probably shouldn't say this, but sends me some pretty bad ones as what not to, you know, how not to talk to journalists. Like it's quite a sort of a little inside joke, but you know, like big shouty capital letters, you know, just be normal and get to the point, you know, don't make people, you know, if you're scrolling, it's boring, make it really, really easy for the press to understand what it is that you've got. That's why videos work so well. It's a really visual medium. You're making a thing that's really visual, so videos are like, you can explain a game for an hour, or you can show some video and they're like, oh yeah, no, I totally get it, I understand. So those are some things.
The risk is stepping in just before what I like to add to what Caroline was saying, like actually go out and meet people if you can, like networking and so forth. Like when you email and follow up the journalist, don't assume that we remember who you are, because we meet lots of people. So I always love that when I get people saying, hi James, great to meet you at Pocket Gamer last week. I showed you my game on X. I'm like, brilliant, yes, I do remember you. And then that conversation can continue. It's just, hi, we met last week. I've already met about 20 people I don't know today. So just my 2 cents.
Joel uses the light phrase of press glass. We internally call it strategy. And don't do it because it doesn't work. The one word that I think is really key to this is targeting. The reason that PR people are your best friends is because they are going to be pitching in your story about your game, specifically matching the type of game that you're making with the publication that it should resonate with. There's absolutely no point me sending Joel anything about mobile, he writes for PC. So that's really important, working out, you know, the relationships and who you want to be talking about your game. Certainly from a marketing point of view, targeting who's in the market for your game and talking to them as early in your process as you possibly can. Talking to somebody saying, I've got a game out in 2 weeks is, you know, herding cats uphill at the river. And it's really difficult to cut through the noise. The sheer number of titles that are coming out is only ever going to get more and more as it becomes easier to do it. So working out what your story is and who you want to be telling your story and targeting it like that and building that relationship over, you know, say 18 months should be part of the long-term planning and thinking, marketing and PR.
You know, just what everyone's saying is one is important thing is, I think until 2 years ago, if you do a 3-month campaign, Front Indie was still okay, still cut through. Because of the number of titles now, you need to start working early and actually try to sustain probably 4 to 6 months this year just to cut it through. And the press release, yes, I agree with what everyone said. On top of that, I think we are, in 2018, we need to start looking not just to PR in isolation, start looking around your community, your building, the marketing, social marketing is now become more and more competitive, and you know, PR still are important, but they need to be amplified and be able to amplify what the game is about together with your function.
Obviously, it's important how you think about how you present your game to the press, the reviewers, and so forth. But is it also important to think about the game you are presenting? I ask that because I've been to 2 or 3 talks today where they've said, you know, the best way to find success is to make your game unique, make your game creative, make it something that no one else has done, which is a lot easier said than done. But basically, how early should you be thinking about marketing your game and making your game marketable and easier to understand when you're actually designing it? Is that something you tweak as you go along, or do you think that's something that you should be doing from the word go?
My personal experience is 2 cases here. Someone contacted me and say, I need to launch this game in 3 weeks' time, and it's absolutely possible. Or the opposite, someone contacts me. I spoke with someone the other day that I met the first time in 2015, and we just stay in touch. And I know his project, I know I know the project so well now that I can come back to him and create a proper PR plan. So the idea is, as early as possible, when you sit down, when you decide to do the game, even if you do your business plan, think about spending 80–90% in developing the game, but the rest, pat it apart, start talking with professionals about marketing and PR, just to have an idea. I'm not saying or suggesting to change your game design because of being able to create news, but unfortunately this sometimes helps. There is so many games now that even as I see myself when someone is asking me to do PR, I have to ask myself, is something that media can be interested, or is there millions and one type of platform or whatever genre is? The competition is there, you can help, but at the end of the day, it's the game that needs to speak about itself. So we can do a lot of work in PR and marketing, but it's not silver bullet. The game needs to talk as well.
I personally believe that if you're not thinking creatively about marketing from the day one of your development journey, you're already setting yourself up for failure in the market. If you're not thinking about what your product is, but also along that journey, who your audience is going to be, and building that audience from day one, then you're just making it impossible for yourselves. And as such, what we do at Bossa Studios is, with every producer and lead designer sits the product marketing manager, and they are part of an everyday creative conversation, so that when those conversations happen and the marketing person can go, oh my god, please don't do that, or that's amazing, audiences will love it. It means that we can be reactive when communities are sharing stuff, and we have an open dev conversation where we're sharing all the time what we're doing creatively, so that our audience not only gets excited about the game, but their expectations are met, and that's how we personally cut through the noise, which is based on the size of our studio, and it works well for us. I think if you're perhaps an indie or a smaller studio, thinking day one, how am I going to, if I have an idea, how am I going to tell somebody else about it, is one of the biggest wins that you can have, and setting aside time and budget for it should have equal importance to your dev timeline.
I think trying to, obviously as you said, it's easier said than done to go, we're going to make a game that's like nothing else in the world. I think trying to make your game in a specific way just so you can market it is not necessarily going to be a wise thing to do, because you might end up making a game that's different than the game you wanted to make. But as Tracy says, if you're thinking about how, not necessarily how can I make the game, but how am I going to be able to market it once I've made the game I believe in, then you're going to be starting off on a much better foot. And I think rather than thinking, what game can I make that's like nothing else out there, think about what is your game and what outlets are going to serve for those games. So are you making a game that's multiplayer focused? Is it for streaming? Is it indie focused? And think about when you are at that point when you want to show it to people, when you want to reach out to the press, when you want to reach those audiences, which outlet, which channels do serve the audiences that like the type of game you're making? Do they write about MMOs, or as I say, are they big on Twitch and your game's built on Twitch? All of those kind of things. So build the game you want to build, make the game you want to make, but then when you come to get it out there, pause and think, rather than reaching out to all of the press at once, think, okay, which outlets or which people cover games like mine, and then go out and more targeted talk to them.
Yeah, again, I said all without really. I think, like games are art, make your game, it's your art, it's got to be an expression of you, but within that be sensible and market, but don't set out to make a marketable game, turn it around to make your game and then market it.
Going back to what Joel was saying about when you were going to start talking to people about your game, fairly crucial one, when is the best time to announce your game? Martin's like, Caroline's pressing there, that now obviously you guys have got more experience. Joel, in your experience as well, like when it's too early to announce a game, like by the time it comes out, it's like, I thought I was out already.
That sigh of...
It
it's tough, right? I think it depends what your game is and how much messaging you're going to want to try and get out there over the course of, from announce to release. If you've got, a great sprawling AAA and there's loads of things you want to talk about and there's loads of development points you're going to want to loop people in on, you probably need to go early, and with a big game, a couple of years is fine. But what's interesting is the rarity with which people go, I've got a new game and here it is, or it's out tomorrow or whatever. There's probably some power in that novelty, and I think in the press, it happened a couple of times towards the latter part of last year. We were shown a game and we're told it's out next week or it's out in 2 days, and sort of being blindsided by that actually helped because we were more inclined to cover it because it doesn't happen very often. It's a how long is a piece of string question really, and it's not a particularly helpful answer, but your game is going to dictate how early is too early. I think if you can show people the concept in a way that's going to entice them early on, then that's great. But if you're going to do it very early, you need to stay on those people's radars, because as you say, with so many games coming out, it's very easy for the press to, without wanting to be harsh, forget your game exists. So if you're going to show it early, make sure you're going to have enough stuff between that initial showing and when it comes out to keep people writing about it and to keep people covering it, because otherwise that interest will wane, and if it wanes too far, it's going to be very difficult to get it back.
Yeah, I think the key thing is there what kind of a game you're building. If you're building something that's going to absolutely require a community to keep within the game, and you're building a game that you want people to be still playing in 3-4 years time, then engaging people really early on and taking them on that journey is important. If you're Mike Biffle and you say, hey, my game's out now, and nobody's heard anything of it, and he nailed it, and I was like, I wanted to do that. Because it was absolutely appropriate for the game and the time when he hit, then I think it's, the game does inform the timeline. For most games, I would say nowadays, if you assume that somebody's going to have to see something 7 or 8 times before they're in the market for it, before they realise the demand is there and that they can't ignore your game anymore, that can affect the timeline. That's where Stefano was saying 4 months is really pushing it, and you're probably not going to be able to shift the needle. And I think to tie to the point about when you believe that your game is truly unique, finding how to communicate that. If it really is unique, then you're breaking into a market that doesn't exist yet, and you have to build it from scratch. If you believe that it's unique and it's not, then yeah, you have other problems to face, and working out what that unique selling point is and how long it's going to take somebody to really, engage with your product before it's in the market. Yeah, not 4 months.
Well, I think just to add something that I started to think a couple of years ago, is when someone comes to me and we decide to work together before we do the proposal, the plan, is very simple document which is called Tell Us Why You're Great. It's an internal document, and they're not going to go out, but I let the developer tell me what is the game, what it's all about, what the investment they're doing, everything that you can imagine. And then on top of that, who are you as a developer? And trust me, the amount of time I found an interesting story of why this person was developing this game and helped me to go through and find the first spark on, oh my god, these guys, they're doing this game in a kitchen, or they just finished school and they decide to go all together as a couple and creating a game. That's never happened, we just invented now. But don't undersell yourself as an individual as well, because the game is an expression of a developer, and sometimes developers got very interesting story that maybe you don't think they are interesting, but maybe something that we can make the difference between a simple platform game and something that talk about maybe some interesting adult things like politics and stuff. It has happened to me, and never underestimate these aspects of who you are.
Yeah.
We should put at the end of the line, should we? So we've talked about making sure you've got enough to say about your game right between announcement and launch. But is there a balance to strike there in terms of sharing the information while you're developing? how much do you share? Because a lot of developers now do development logs. So hey, here's a massive loadout on this one system, and is there a danger that it gets to the point where by the time the game has arrived, everyone knows enough about the game that actually they're lost interest in it, or you're sharing too little that by the time the game comes out, they actually don't know anything about it enough to worry about. Basically, how much do you share when you're actually developing, given that development can change?
I know that's not what people say too often. I guess it's up to you, isn't it? You're an individual. I mean, you know, it sounds horrifying sometimes saying to somebody who's not that type of person who can be sharing and talking. And, you know, back to Mike Biffle, who obviously is very sharing and talking, you know, so that kind of really works for him. So you need to decide what you're comfortable with, really, because it's a lot of work as well, doing all these blog, you know, making a game, you've got this work to do, and then you've got to go and do the blog, and then, you know, and broadcasting, and da-da-da-da. So, you know, just do what you're comfortable with, otherwise it becomes really onerous and you really hate it. And that said, you know, there's, you know, talk when you've got something to talk about, you know, so don't set yourself milestones and we're going to do something every 2 weeks, because you'll just start spamming people and become boring. If you've genuinely got something interesting to say it. And don't feel under pressure to be, you know, to turn into kind of, you know, Mr. or Mrs., you know, sharing on the internet every, you know, intimate detail of your game and how it's going if you don't want to. If you do want to do that, then that's also great. So, you know, be yourself.
I think also read the signals from the people who are viewing or not the stuff you're putting out. I think don't feel like you have to lock yourself into, we are going to do a dev diary every week forever, because if you get some coverage on the first one and a load of views and then it starts sticking, like, just stop if it's not doing anything for you. There will come a point of diminishing returns with all this where you're putting in lots and lots of effort to do some communications which aren't helping. And I think rather than, as I say, committing to a course of action and never deviating from it, if you see that what you're doing is not having the desired effect, stop, do something different, or and just get back to developing. You know, I think there is certainly a point, as you say, where information becomes too much information, and if you're putting out an average amount of, you know, press materials or contacting press, you know, what you would consider a normal amount, and it's still people are getting a bit fatigued, would be not a very good sign.
Even the AAA's get this wrong.
Dev diary, they so 90s. Honestly, no, sorry, I've done this job for 25 years. I love dev diaries back in time, but now, you know, it's very difficult to find a dev diary that actually is really catchy. Focus on trailer, try to get the attention of people in 30 seconds if you can, but dev diary can be really one of the symptoms of fatigue. I remember working on a particular project. We had 7 dev diaries in 7 weeks, and even I loved the game, but I said, why should it 5 minutes per 7? It was really difficult. Dev diary for me is always something to say, be very, very careful. If you really want to do it, but no, it's better than that.
I was going to say, like, even AAA sometimes get this wrong. Like, your old mother, Ubisoft, a couple of colleagues of mine used to joke that it was Ubisoft o'clock every 5 o'clock every single day, pretty much from September through to December, you'd get the Ubisoft trailer or press release or log entry or something. No, I know. It goes quiet when they're doing everything on the run, but it's like, that's just too much. Like, nobody cares.
And you've got important stuff, it gets long.
Yeah, exactly. It just gets drowned out. So, yeah. So, question that apology Joel, you might not be able to answer, but the other who should. Like, obviously, none of this can be free. Some of it counts. You know, Twitter doesn't cost anything. Facebook posts and YouTube. But in terms of budgeting for a marketing and PR plan, how much? And again, this is how long is a piece of string. But how much would you guys suggest budgeting, and when should you set that money aside?
Well, there is no real big answer, because every game is different. So if you launch a game that is really immediate and it costs 10, you probably you're budgeting different for something that costs 1,000. What I tend to say is, if you budget, let's say 100% is your development budget, at the really beginning, cut down 20% as this is something I'm gonna use to actually make the game be known. And it could be PR, it could be social marketing, it could be advertising, it could be anything. There is not a fee that you should pay, but you have to think about percentage. Think about percentage of how much your game costs, and then allocate, let's say, 20% at the really beginning of the project to be there when I need to promote the game. Then these things could change. Some games need probably 10%, 5%. Some games need 50%. Everything is different. But if you start with your business plan, say, I put 20% there, just in case, and then you start developing, then you can see from the signal that Joel was saying, look at the signal of the market, look at the community. You need community, maybe you can invest in community building. You need PR, you can invest in a PR agency. But all in all, I would say 80-20, just as an indication.
Yep.
Hey, cannot buy anything.
I would definitely say 15 to 20% of your budget should be on marketing, and that should also include time. I think people think about external spend and forget about the time it actually takes to write a tweet. That is a cost. How long does it take to take care of Facebook? How long does it take to make a trailer? How long does it take to have a meeting with a PR agency to get the ball rolling there? And I would say, and this is a big difficult number, actually, I don't think you can market a game for less than 70 grand in the current market if you're looking at a year-long campaign. That's me sticking my colours to the wall. But I think if you want to get a good trailer, if you want to buy somebody's PR time for 3 months, even if it's run up to launch, I think if you're looking at boosting a campaign, I think if you're looking at your personal time, i.e. how much do you need to live and work and eat and sleep as a developer, and market your game within a 12 to 18 month cycle, these are the kind of numbers that we should be looking at for investing in our studios and thinking about marketing campaigns.
If I may say something on this, I think there are ways to get good value for money if you're thinking smart. We worked with Curve Digital at the end of last year on the launch of Bomber Crew, and obviously I won't tell you what their budget was, but we did an incredibly laser-targeted piece of marketing on the launch day of the game. So we did some sponsored editorial, we did advertising across our network of sites, and we did a sponsored live stream, and we did it all at 6 p.m. on the Friday the game launched, I think it was. And as I say, I won't say what the spend was, but it was not as much as £70,000, that's for sure. And it worked. The game was the top trending game on Steam that day and for a portion of that weekend. So if you're thinking smart and if you're targeting the right people, you can get good value for a modest.
Yeah, definitely. It really depends, formats really play. We talked to a lot of mobile developers. I mean, PR is not great for you guys, I have to admit, which is going to do me a lot of favours, but you want to be spending your money on user acquisition as quickly as you can. There's a lot of companies out there that can help kind of bridge finance, that sort of thing. If you're doing stuff on Steam, you want to be kind of spending money with John and Sling or John, taking cards at the end. So yeah, it really depends on what you're doing, and spending money on making an amazing trailer. So it's not only kind of putting that money to one side, but really thinking in terms of what you're going to do. Sometimes spending money on PR actually isn't the answer, if I'm very honest with you. Sometimes having an amazing trailer will really get you out there and do the job much, much better.
So kind of expanding on what Joel was saying, okay, say Stefano and Tracy, I've got 15-20% of my budget, but 20% of bugger all is still bugger all. So how do I promote my game on a low budget? If I'm making my game on my spare time and I just don't have the money to invest in a full-blown campaign, are there ways that I can promote beyond just making the occasional tweet?
Yeah.
Could we elaborate on that ways?
As Joe was saying, there are, I think it is building a campaign that is suitable for the game and suitable for the community that you want to engage with your game. So if you have a small game, if you have a small budget, but you've spent a long time investing in engaging with an audience that you're building demand for, that can be quite a reasonable way of doing it. You're setting up the tools and you're setting up the time. Again, time is a cost. It is. You have to put a figure next to how much you are worth in a year. And I think a lot of people miss that out of the equation. And then on top of that, yes, there are ideal marketing scenarios, and you'd like to cover all bases and have a beautiful campaign that plays out very, very well. You know where your penny for each player is going. The way to circumvent that is maybe look at one channel where your audience know they're going to find you, where they're having that conversation with you that yes, isn't 5 o'clock every Tuesday, your stop time. But you know where you're building up that conversation and demand for them, and that's where it can be cost effective. I think having a look at the momentum of that and how when you're building up the demand and the audience for it, when do you then really ramp it up to launch so that you're going above and beyond who's already your early adopters and going into I want new players coming into the game. Yeah, it's, you know, there are cost-effective ways of doing it, but I think there has to be some point in your budget, in your planning, that isn't just a dev cost, that is a marketing cost, and make it as big and fat as you can.
I would say if you want to do it by yourself, first things come to an event like this one, they're quite cost effective. You start showing the game, it could be developed Brighton, it could be here, it could be EGX, it doesn't really matter how you start, but if you have to do it by yourself and you don't have the budget, try to show the game as early as possible, as networking as possible. At some point you found yourself in a bar and you turn around and there is the actual Eurogamer there, and you say, wow, that's cool. That's all you need to start. Now, on the opposite side, we just need to be very realistic that this is a business. At the end of the day, you make a game to make money. So at the beginning, trying to do by yourself and network as much as you can, but at some point, there is only one Minecraft at the end of the day. So you can be lucky, but at the same time, at some point, you need to factor that, okay, I need, or potentially need some help internally. You can hire someone internally, but you know, network is the first thing. And then when you're networking, you can start picking momentum. Just see if you need PR, if you're not Mobile, of course, because I agree with Caroline, Mobile is not, it's really difficult market. But it's a business at the end of the day.
I think on the networking point, it's difficult if you've got a lower profile game or you're a solo developer to assume that your email is going to be read, or that if you send a playable build to the press, they're even going to play it, because honestly they probably won't. You are better off trying to find somebody in person at an event like this, or a GDC or something like that. And there have been some games that I've been shown in person. There's no way they would have been covered on our sites if I hadn't been tracked down by the person and been shown it face to face, where they could give me the proper sell as to what's interesting about it, what's interesting about them, as Tony was saying earlier. Try and do that. If they don't want to see it, leave them alone, but I would suggest at least try and get yourself and your game in front of the people you want to cover it, rather than just sending out and hoping they're going to install it, play it, and do all that on their own time, because it just isn't that.
Do you have any other advice? Any other advice on how to actually develop relationships with both traditional media and, because it says it on the screen, influencers as well? I mean, we're sort of influencers, Charlie and I, like we're traditional. So, but I mean, like the YouTubers, the Twitch streamers, the people we're not. Kids, youth with webcams. How do you reach out to them and get them to like your game?
Well, the first thing is you're talking about like other human beings here, so don't forget that. How do I talk to other human beings? How do I do that normally? So you would just, being normal and friendly and nice is really important, so that they're going to react to you well. Make it really easy. I think Giles really sort of put this across today. Journalists are really busy. Make it really, really, don't make them go hunting for your stuff, or when they get onto your website, like My Pet Hate is making you fill in a form. I'm not going to fill in a form, give your email. let me get, you know, like give me your Twitter account, let me get hold of you. And then, you know, as Joel said, there is kind of a fine line between kind of, you know, chasing people down and, you know, getting restraining orders. So just be slightly careful about that. But yeah, in the real world, events like this, meeting people, you know, reaching out, that's really the way to do it. I mean, we talk to journalists all day long, so, you know, I was going to say in a fortunate position, I don't know, we're in a fortunate position, we're in a position, where, you know, we're emailing, calling people on the phone, you know, at events with them, so it is easier for us, but, you know, you can engineer that yourselves, and, you know, just be normal.
For me, it's the word that Joel used earlier on, it's targeting. Targeting, carving out a small bit of time each week to work out who you want to be talking about the game. There's no point in me sending a game that's about dating cats to somebody that only ever plays first-person shooter or Minecraft. So just taking that a little bit of time to do the research first, which is where PR is the most valuable resource to you, because they will be able to very clearly put through that piece to say, well, yes, we pitch your game to this person, or we think this will be Joel will love this. Building that relationship with people who you want to be telling your story for you, who you think are going to champion your dev journey and the game when it comes out, and who are going to want to have updates from you, but, you know, not all the time, and making it easy for yourself that way. Doing the research first is probably the most valuable thing you can do before going out to influencers. The relationship that you then have depends on the state of where your game is. If you send it to them when you're confident that you will be really happy for somebody else, a potential customer, to see it and get excited about it, that's the sweet spot. And knowing that you've already targeted someone, you've had a chat with them, you've told them what the game's about, and you've gone, yeah, that's really cool, I want to be part of your story, is probably the entry level point to influencers without going into agencies and crazy money.
Yeah, and one thing is, don't go to a PR and say, do you know PewDiePie? It's probably going to say yes.
We all do, we all know him, it's brilliant.
The thing is that in the profiling, especially with influencers, is even more important. With the profiling of your game, yes, I got a conversion rate if PewDiePie do a stream of my game, but because this PewDiePie is so huge, that obviously you have conversion rate. But if you go to influencers, maybe start with the smallest one, then get more attention, and they actually play your type of game. Anyone that got 10,000 people followers as a very minimum, and then they play the game you're developing, they're gonna be more keen to act, because they know they viewers, they want to cover this game. If you go to the massive, huge one, yes, you need to spend a lot of money, or if you're lucky, you're gonna be streamed by PewDiePie, but again, that's probably not the best investment of your time. As Tracy said, time is money.
We've got about 5 minutes left of our allocated time slot. I'm aware that we're the last slot of the day, so you're all probably already thinking which bar and or burger joint we're heading to next.
Yes.
I have enough questions to keep this lot until 6, but do you guys have any better questions that you'd rather ask before that? Yes, we have one.
Yes, it's just, I mean, it's probably a question that everybody asks all the time, but when it comes to the subject of the email, do you have some do's and don'ts on what you should say in the subject to get
Do
potential?
Do you mean specifically the subject line, or the
Literally the subject of the email.
Yeah, the subject line of the email that you send.
Personally, I mean, you guys are the panel, but the moment I see the word Kickstarter, I lose interest. Everyone has a Kickstarter. But, yeah.
I think capital letters are a big no. Capital letters in square brackets, really big no.
Yeah.
I think, you know, we get so attuned to what has been sent out generically to your entire emailing list. And as soon as you know that it's that, the likelihood of it being read, opened or read beyond the first couple of lines goes down and down and down. I really think you are, you know, if you're trying to reach out to the press, you'd be better off sending a bespoke email to 20 people than one generic boilerplate email to like 1,000 or even like 10,000 people. Because honestly, I just think the response rate will be better, and the people who've taken, they know you've taken the time to write a bespoke email to them. If you can go one step further and go, you know, I saw you wrote about game X, which is similar to my game, blah blah blah, or you stream so and so. If you've taken the time to do that, I think the likelihood of someone taking the time to read, copy the email and respond to it go away.
We released Jousting Genitals, which was, you know, you can have a lot of fun with that, and we basically filled everybody's inbox with dicks, and that was fun. But you know, so you can be, you know, like that kind of led itself down to, you know, puns and being a bit funny and a bit rude and all of those things. So it kind of depends on your thing as well, you know. So if your game is quite humorous, or you know, there's a little thing about it, you know, kind of get your personality in there, and think about it. You know what? Think about what emails you open as well, because you're like probably spammed. We're all spammed. I get a million emails, and every so often will come in and you open it. Start to notice what you open as well, because yeah, that's quite. You start to notice things and go, yeah, I was quite intrigued with that, or you know, and yeah, make it personal. Especially with Jousting Genitals. You get more personal.
No, I would start every email with, Joel, do not ignore this email. Just, that would work. I think personalising it is, and I think Joel's point about, yeah, maybe saying, hey, you've just written about this, here's your next thing. And to Caroline's point, make it easy for them. So if you can get them in the subject line by standing out from the crowd, making sure your first few lines are everything. How would you describe the game in 140 characters, or however many Twitter give us nowadays? It's a luxury. But that opening sentence of, hey, this is why this is really interesting for you, and here's immediately where you can find out everything that you need to about it, is probably going to get you far enough.
You can use the point chipmunks, you can use something else like open rates on it as well. There's a lot of kind of tools out there that PRs use now, so you can figure out who's opened it, and that's a good indication of following up. You know, like who to follow up with, because people might have opened it and they just didn't sort of get back to you. But there's little sort of tricks and tells now that you can, you know, that are a bit more helpful.
There is an app there on Google, you can use on Google, called it YAMM, which is basically, it's a kind of mail merge system, but it's actually lets you know lots of data about how many percentage people open the email, how more. Now, with mail merge, you need to be careful again, because if you have a relationship, it's one thing. If you don't have a relationship, if you start passing bracket letter, or press release, or embargo until, don't do this is not going to happen. When you ask the question, actually, I just remember an email. There was a particular journalist that had been in here for a while, so I was a bit worried. Now, I need to contact this guy because I need to speak about business, but I said, oh my God, I don't know how to. Having a subject line, I said, we had a romantic trip with an Italian. I miss you. And actually, the guy was actually on holiday, and the subject line was completely random. It's someone that I really have a relationship with, so I'm not suggesting to invite journalists on a date in the subject line. But as soon as it sounds like me quite perfect. I'm married now, but anyway. But yeah, so try to be creative, and if you meet someone here, if you enjoy here, and maybe just the subject line could be simply like, I really like the panel you were on. And Joy's going to remember automatically think he was in the audience and look at it. But yeah, not bracket, press release, capital letter stuff.
Any other questions? Yes.
Yeah, the topic of attention span, I think we raised to people that what's the best time to market the game. I remember the gaming industry was MMOs being marketed over almost 2 years from first information of the game to actually releasing it. But I was very impressed by the Fallout 4, very short amount and then a very focused campaign. So would you say the attention span of the audience is moved to, we should be much more focused, cram a lot more in a shorter amount of time and then be out there in due course, or you say no, actually let's give your game time.
It's hard, because there's a lot to say about MMO, there isn't there? So you've just naturally got a lot of material. I think we tend to do shorter run-ups now. We tend to, I think there is a shorter attention span. I think that unless you're a AAA, we're tending to do more stealth releases now. Just kind of get it out there really quickly. Everyone's up for it, and it's out. But I mean, it really depends. It depends. It's very hard to say. It depends on the type of game and
I think the great thing with Fallout 4 release was it was the first, certainly that I can remember, the first AAA game that went for that approach. So I don't remember a game of that magnitude going, here's the first trailer, we're out in 5 months. And that was, because it was so novel, obviously everyone's going to write about Fallout 4 because it was Fallout 4, but in the press it just generated a lot of goodwill. And I remember vividly the day that first trailer dropped and everyone in the office watching it and then going, oh my gosh, and it's out this year. Because you look back to other games and some brilliant games like Bioshock Infinite or something. The first trailer to when that came out was something like 3.5 years in the end. And even if we're really looking forward to a game, we do get all writing about them eventually. So it does depend. But I think something like that was a really shrewd move because it was just so different for a game of that size.
I think with that example, they had the luxury of an audience from Fallout or previous Fallouts. Every time, that company breathes, everyone goes, "Is it an announcement?" They literally had to put a countdown clock up, and the world went nuts. And we're all collectively counting down together. That word of mouth point where they knew the demand for the product, they hit with a countdown clock so that everybody would be talking about the trailer when it lands. Was very, very sweet, which means, they don't have to have months and months of conversation. So, I hope to be Fallout 4 or Fallout 5.
Case in point, like CD Projekt Red, the other week, they just tweeted from the Cyberpunk 2077 for the first time in 4 years, and they just used the word beef.
So,
Yeah.
from my perspective, that's quite annoying though. It's like the sort of arms race of the teaser trailer for the teaser trailer for the teaser trailer. It's getting big out now to the point where you get like a microsecond of a YouTube countdown for a teaser trailer. That's got to be reined in a little bit. But there are some games you can do anything.
Certainly a weekend email like an announcement of an announcement. When it's covering.
That's quite an
all the way to the actual announcement. Maybe you've got to know the announcement's coming. Any last questions? One last question. Yes.
How dangerous is it to go early with the press if you're going to be in alpha for a long time? Because I know a lot of games are in alpha for a very long time.
But you're the press, so
I am. That's partly brick. I'm asking the question as a way of saying, please don't do it.
I also to remember that sometimes when we go early with the press is because we don't know that there will be a delay. So from our side, we have to manage the expectation all the same. But I agree with you. There is something special with early access now. It's going to change the dynamic. If you get in early access, you're going to change the dynamic. So what is early access the launch or is the beginning? For some people it's the launch, some other people it's the beginning. And because PR is not an exact science, I think everyone has a slightly different opinion. But trust me, sustain a campaign for 16, 18 months, it's difficult also from a PR point of view, for sure.
Was that a cry for help?
I think last year was an interesting case in point with PUBG, and you could probably make a case study comparison between something like PUBG and something like DayZ. And I think one is very clear how to handle sort of early access stories quite well, whereas I think something like DayZ, and not, I'm not trying to speak to the quality of the game, but the press were fascinated by DayZ when it was first released, and because it was a bit of a mess for quite a long time, I think the goodwill got ebbed away to the point that people got a bit sick of it. So I think you can maybe sustain it for a while, but you need to be sure that your game is at a certain quality level at first, but also getting better. Because if people can't see any tangible progress in the game they're playing, we'll forgive a certain amount, but there comes a time when people are just going to go, we can't buy this anymore, and they're just going to get sick.
This is when we come back to the thing about planning. When you start working on it, planning what's going to be game. Because if you're planning, yes, it can change the time scale if the game delay, but if you plan in advance, it's much more easy to manage than actually do everything at the end, then the game delay, then you don't know what to say, and then a journalist calling you and saying, oh, I got an idea, oh, I'm patching, I cannot do this anymore. So planning is a massive key. It's not just in development, also in marketing and com.
Right, we have stolen 8 minutes of your evening. So we have a round of applause for